watching the It's Hertime podcast with Cody and Jess. All right, welcome back to the It's Hertime podcast. I'm here with Jess, and we are going to have a really fun conversation. Yes. They're always fun, but I feel like this is going to be, we're going to talk about some things that some of you have kind of written in about, and we feel very passionate about when it comes to talking about women and libidos and why are we so passionate about sharing information and about helping all of us to be able to kind of strengthen that area of our life. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a good conversation. There's some facts that I think some of us might be surprised with. And we're going to talk about things that we can do to help support that little area of our life.
Yeah. And over at Mixhers, it's something we love to talk about because there is a lot of questions around, libido for women, and there hasn't been a lot of solutions. So that's why we are passionate about the topic, because we can provide the solutions and we're the ones that are willing to talk about it. So
you know us.
Yeah. Before we go into the episode, we're going to do our usual Mixhers Girls Say. And this was a really, really fun question box. The question box was, point of view, your little sis is going to have sex for the first time. What's your advice?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. What would your advice be? You can think on it for a minute. Yeah. And we'll come back to it.
Give me a minute. But I mean, things are coming to mind, but I feel like we're going to talk about them in the episode. So,
and there's all over the place, different point of views here. So I love it because there's not one right way.
Have an actual younger sister.
Yeah. So we're like, what would we say?
But yeah.
I love this. Own your voice. If something feels good, say it. If something doesn't, say it. Speak up. Own your voice. She says that twice, which I love. It's like, yes, very, you deserve to enjoy sex.
Yes.
And if something doesn't feel right, communicate it. And you can communicate in a loving way. You can communicate to make it, and it benefits your partner.
Yes.
They want it to feel good for you too.
And they want to know, and there's no way, they're not mind readers. So you need to be able to communicate. And I know first time, when you're first getting into this, it's like, you don't really even know what you like and what you don't like. So, but it's good to be vocal. It's good to ask questions. It's good to share thoughts. Yeah.
Another person wrote, don't make it too serious. Be able to laugh at the little things that just don't go right. No one really knows what they're doing the first time.
So true.
That's very true. That was me completely. I felt like, there's no way it could be that hard to understand. And it's not, but just the first time having sex, you really don't know what your body is supposed to be doing, what you're supposed to be experiencing. So it is kind of just funny and awkward. And then it's fun to learn and improve your sex life with your partner. I think it's really fun to learn.
Yeah. It's fun to experiment. Yep.
Use lube. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I will tell you a personal story.
Okay.
When I was first married, I had a major guilt thing because I had once had someone say to me, if you need lube, then you're not enjoying sex.
Yes.
If you're not wet enough, if you're not wet enough, sorry, that's kind of a weird, but yes, if you're not wet enough, it just must mean that you're not turned on enough and you're not doing sex right. So I was embarrassed to feel like I needed lube. I will tell you what, finally, when I purchased lube, my desire for sex increased drastically because I realized all I needed was that little bit of help. And why was I embarrassed for so long? There's obviously a need for it if it's on the market like it is.
Yep.
So I'm just wanting all of you listeners to know that if there is any bit of shame around what your body naturally produces, don't. Just purchase some great lube. We love Coconut. Yeah. There's a bunch of really great brands, but that was just something that happened to me. And I felt a little bit embarrassed about it for a long time. And then I'm like, the only two people this is really hurting is myself and my partner.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
No, I'm so glad that you shared that because I feel like it was years for me to get that too. I had never used lube. And then I think it was I don't need it, but then I learned, I think I've shared this on this podcast before. So sorry, you girls that listen to our podcast every single week. We love you. But this is something that I learned was that it's not only just for the, enjoyment of it, but it actually protects your vaginal canal. There's little microscopic tears that can happen inside the vagina while you are having sex. And when those little tears heal, you're creating scar tissue, which then is going to make it so that you have less sensation down there. Yeah. So that was something that I thought was pretty fascinating. And I was sold. I was like, okay, yeah, this is not just for enjoyment, but this is for vaginal health as well.
So these last two, and then we'll go into the episode, but they're similar. So I'm going to share them. One says, foreplay, foreplay, foreplay. Remember, it shouldn't all just be fast. Enjoy. And the second one is try a vibrator. Trust. So
there you go. Yeah. There's lots of things that, are available that I feel like if you just can be kind of open-minded about stuff, communicate with your partner, see what you guys feel comfortable with. Both of you should feel comfortable and, but don't feel shame around it. And that's our whole mission. And I say, let's get into the episode because I feel like
this is like what we're going to talk about.
Passionate about is that we really want to have these kinds of conversations that are done in a classy way, like done in a way that where we're like owning that, yes, sex is a very important part of our life. It's a very important part of living a healthy life. And for too long, girls, for too long, we have not talked about having healthy sex as a woman. And it's like, a lot of the attention gets put on the men and how you can help a man feel, enjoy this part of life. But it's time that we start talking about our sexual health and our sexual needs and things like that as well. But do it in a way that feels classy.
I agree. Mixhers is a company made for women by women. Each of our products have been carefully and lovingly crafted to support you in all stages of your life, providing you with the optimal health you deserve. Each ingredient we handpick is 100% all natural, backed by science, and chosen specifically to better your life physically, mentally, and hormonally. Each product empowers your body to take charge of its monthly hormonal shift and flows, empowering you to live life to the fullest. Let Mixhers take care of your needs from sunup to sundown, and you take care of the rest. Check us out at mixhers.com, Mixhers. I think it's really important too, to that point, to bring up that every person, let alone every woman, does have a different sex drive. And so it's really tough when you're in conversations with girlfriends. I think it's so fun to talk about sex with friends and just kind of hear different ideas. And it's like, it's fun to just have these conversations that have you come back to your sex life, excited to explore and try new things or whatever. But there can commonly be comparison in sex life. Our sex drive, sorry. I have friends that want sex multiple times a day. They want to have sex right when they wake up. They want and it's amazing. But there can be some feelings that can trigger for friends that are like, it's really hard for me to get in the mood. I really have to try it. I'm really stressed. It's a big mental thing for me to get in the right mood. And so just know that like every woman also doesn't have the same libido. But there are things we can do if you want to improve your sex drive, there's great tips.
Well, we talked too about how as women, we're cyclical beings. So your sex drive can like ebb and flow every day of the month. And so that's something to understand too. So yes, there are just people that overall just pretty much most of the time are not ever in the mood to have sex. There's lots of things that contribute to that. And we're going to talk about that in this episode too. But there's also just certain times of the month where you are going to have a lower sex drive and times of the month where you're going to have a much higher sex drive. And this is normal too. And it's something that's so important for us to know, but we didn't get talked to about this, when we were going through sex ed. I feel like this just somehow, like many things just got brushed over. And so again, as women, we're always like, there must be something wrong with me. But you need to know that it's very, very common and it is very normal for every woman to have a different and man. Actually, I think that's a misconception too, that we think men just always want to have sex. That's not true either. But we're all different and that's great.
Yep. So Cody shared this with me and it blew my mind. So we wrote it down and I wanted to share it on this episode. So while I mentioned that every woman has a different sex drive, Americans are having less sex now than they were a decade ago. And that really, really blew my mind. But then another step further is Cody shared with me that 60% of women are sexually unsatisfied.
Yeah.
Then continuing, fewer women are having orgasms than any other demographic. And well, what we know at Mixhers is that a lot of this can be attributed to stress. Stress. Women have so much on their plates, so much going on. Their mental health is struggling. They're struggling with confidence. They're struggling in their marriages. They're struggling. Life is hard.
Yes.
It is hard. And stress is a major contributing factor to a woman's sex drive.
Yeah, we always say nothing kills the mood more than stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it literally hormonally does. And I know we do talk about this because I feel like stress is like a blanket over all hormonal imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you think about what's happening in the body, even if you're not in a stressful state, like you're not in traffic, you're not like fighting with your spouse or whatever, even if that's not happening, if there's just overall just like busyness, like as women, we're just go, go, go all the time. And we're just like thinking ahead, like, I got to be here at this time. I got to be here at this time. I mean, we're used to it. So sometimes I don't think we like think that's what stress is, but it is. And when we're in that mode, then our body is like danger, danger. And whenever our body feels like it's in danger, it tries to help us to escape that danger by increasing our stress hormone production of cortisol and adrenaline. And whenever those two hormones are high, your sex hormones, so your, the ones that we know the most about, but your progesterone, your estrogen, and your testosterone all dive. So you can see how like if those sex hormones are low, you're not going to be feeling in the mood. You're not going to want to have sex. You're not going to enjoy it because we really are dependent on hormone balance in order to be able to feel like we have a healthy and satisfied sex life. Yeah.
Well, and orgasms can help balance your hormones. So noting that alone, ladies, just if you want your balance or your hormones balanced, let's start to have more sex.
We need to orgasm more too.
Yes. So I know that it's really like Cody mentioned, it's like you may know you're stressed, but you're like, okay, but how do I get rid of the stress? What do I do to get in the mood? Yeah. And so we came up with some sex rituals.
Yes.
We called them the sexual wellness rituals. And it's some steps and some things you can do to help eliminate stress so that you can be more in the mood.
Yeah.
Do you want to start?
I'd love to start.
Great.
Yes. Okay. So obviously you want to do some stress reducing strategies. Okay. So doing things like personally on your own, things like we talk about a lot, but meditation, deep breathing, going for a walk, spending time in nature, eating good, nutritious foods, all of these things are stress reducing strategies. And the more you can implement those into your life, the better. The more this is going to actually help you to get into the mood. So go back to some of our other episodes where we literally do a whole episode just on how to reduce stress and start implementing those in your, your sexual readiness, wellness, or whatever we're calling it, rituals, because it's a huge part of it. Get yourself to just calm down and just relax and go with the flow.
The next one, I actually have to compliment Cody. I feel like Cody does this well, and it's actually really fun to see.
Oh, okay.
Flirting.
Oh, yeah.
You and Trevor are so cute. And I feel like you share fun moments of laughing together, and you're like, you physically are connected, like with cute touching and hands and arms. And I love that bit of flirtatious vibe I can see in your relationship. And I mean, I'm not going to make an assumption, but I would think that because you're flirtatious, it's also very fun and easy to then get in the mood for sex.
Yeah.
Am I putting you on the spot?
A little bit, but I'm an open book. No, I love that you see that because I am obsessed with my husband. I am obsessed with him. We've been married for 30 years and I'm really lucky because we still feel that connection and there's nothing we love more than being together and like touching and cuddling. But our favorite thing is to actually just make each other laugh. Like those are our favorite moments. And my husband is really good at helping me just laugh and just enjoy life and day to day in just the silliest ways. And, I love that you see that. I also think that you are a good flirt too. I've seen you. I feel like you have a fun, flirty personality. Anybody that's around Jess is like feeling like I know that sounds weird because it's not always a sexual thing. But you're like, wait, everybody. But you know what I'm talking about? Like being a flirt and flirting doesn't always have to be like you're sending a naughty text or you're whatever it is that we kind of think flirting is. It's more just connecting. And it's like making that person know that they have your attention and that you're thinking about them. And, and I feel like people have flirty personalities.
Yeah.
And you do. And so I bet you also have this little strength going on for you.
Maybe
too,
I do.
Well, great. So, all right. Well, good.
The next one I feel like we already touched on a little bit.
Yeah.
And actually, I shared my personal experience, lubrication.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's really important. Go and experience or experiment with a few different lubricants. If you want flavors or different sensations, there's a bunch out there.
Yeah.
It's fun to add something new to the lineup and experiment, and it can spice up your sex life. It's great.
Yeah, it is good. And you know me, I'm going to be the person that's telling you to make sure that what you put on down there,
because she's right,
is really important. That it's not.
Think about it. You're putting it down there.
You're basically eating this stuff,
Yeah.
so you need to make sure that it is healthy. That there's not. Jess, come on. So you know what I'm saying. You need to make sure there's no harmful chemicals, right? You don't want that down there, and you don't want to absorb it. Come on, bring it back. And
I'm here. I'm back.
you're back. Wait, see, we can't get through an episode without just cracking up together.
There is some fun, entertaining things in there.
But you know what I mean.
But,
okay, yeah. You know what I mean.
Choose wisely.
She's right.
Choose wisely, because you're basically eating it. Okay, next.
Back. Classy, right?
Touch. Okay, we're back.
And we're back. Yes. Touch. Okay. Again, that goes into that feeling connected. So I have a story that I love to tell. Sorry, now I'm like all red faced and crying because I'm just laughing so hard over here. When I was in 4th grade, I had this crush on this kid named David. Okay. David. And my mom is the cutest. And she is a flirt. I learned it from my mom. I really did. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that she told me is like, if you want David to notice you, what you need to do, this makes me laugh still. In 4th grade, this is what the advice I was given, is to touch David's elbow and say, David.
David. He's all 4th grade. He's like, teacher so-and-so.
Yes. So I was totally like, okay, I'll figure this out. I'd be like, hi, David, how are you? And I got his attention. And I have used this little tip from my mom. You guys can use it too. And it works almost every time because a guy or girl, any of us, we like that people connect with us. You have this energy exchange, but then having somebody say your name feels good, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a good way to flirt. And it's like the elbow is just a safe area to touch, right? There's just a good safety zone. And so I'm going to say, try it. Touch.
Love it. I think as far as like in a partnership too, when there's like sex involved, I think that something for women that is so important is, we have a lot that like leads into us having the desire to have sex. Like, I think, for sure, there's women that like at the drop of a hat, they're in the mood, they can have sex anytime. But for the majority of women, there's a lot of emotion that needs to be right. And they need to feel safe and well taken care of. And I think that a lot of that can be created through physical touch that's outside of the bedroom. That is, a sweet hug when you come back home or a kiss on the cheek or, things like that. And so if you're not getting that, my guess would actually be that, maybe that the importance of that hasn't been communicated to your partner. Yeah. Or if it has been communicated, while this can be so hard when you're feeling like I communicated it and it's still not being done because it would benefit your partner. You're like, if you're giving that to me, it would benefit you. But I would challenge you to be the one that tries to instigate some of that touching. Try to be the one giving the hug or kissing and see how it starts to be a little bit more reciprocated and then more natural for your partner. And I really think that can lead into being more like in the mood for sex.
And like sometimes it takes a good 24 hours of foreplay, right? To get you kind of in the mood sometimes. And so I think that if you communicated with your partner that this was a love language of yours, touch was important to you, which it seems like that's naturally everybody needs touch. It's very healing. There's so many studies that show like how beneficial having that human touch is. But if you communicated with your partner and letting them know, like, this is what helps me to be able to get in the mood, you won't be able to keep their hands off of you. Right?
That would be my guess.
I would imagine.
Last, environment. I have a thought on this.
Okay. I love your thoughts.
I think that there is something so special and so intimate about a bedroom and like that space that you create with your partner. I'm going to throw this out there. I'm doing this to you a lot today, but my guess would be that Cody also agrees with me on this. It can be so fun to change up the environment of your sex life. While the bedroom is like what we all know is our regular space, usually for sex. It can be so fun if you're kind of feeling like you're in a lull or feeling a little bit, maybe bored in your sex life. It can be fun to spice things up and change that environment. What are your thoughts there?
I think so. I mean, we can go both ways. Let's talk about that. That is fun to have new places, that you have sex. It's fun. Like there's some funny places that I won't share, but there's some funny places that have like, we look back on and laugh about. And it kind of added to the excitement of it all and just, being sneaky and funny and whatever, or just having another beautiful space that just feels magical, to have that
like a
moment
weekend getaway somewhere.
Totally.
And yeah,
love all of that. But I also think that, let's say you can't go have a weekend getaway. I think it's your kitchen. Hey, not very comfortable, but hey, sexy, spicy, but so dumb. I'm sorry.
But again, Cody.
But yeah, like just, like when you're dating, like, I don't know, like making out on the couch, like that's like what you did before you're married or whatever, it's just like kind of takes it back to those, fun first days of your relationship, things like that. So I think, but I was also going to say like making sure wherever it is, if it's the kitchen table, if it's your bedroom, have that space be an area that's not distracting. Okay. So like creating a space in your bedroom, like you're saying, like making sure that the bedroom is clean. And like, I don't like, having a bunch of stuff because what happens when you are like in a moment and you're like looking at that pile of laundry that needs to be done.
Stress.
That's what you're thinking about.
Stress.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, get the distractions out of the way and just be all in that moment. It's an environment's huge.
Like turn the TV off. Yeah. The room clean, like phones down. Cause I feel like if like a phone is lighting up or dinging, it's a distraction.
Doesn't need to be in there. Set the environment.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay. Next.
Yeah.
We're going to go through a few quick steps on how to rev your libido.
You know us. We love to give you some action steps, right?
Some takeaways.
Absolutely. Okay. So the first tip I have for you girls is to start cycle phasing, okay, your sex life. Now we talk about cycle phasing when it comes to our nutrition and when it comes to our exercise and things like that. But there's some really fun things to know about that as far as like what type of sex and like the speed of sex and or foreplay or whatever, how different phases of your month you're going to be, like what's going to actually feel good to you. So during the first phase of our monthly cycle is our follicular phase. And this is a phase where your like all of your sex hormones are kind of starting at a low place, but they're rising. And so you might need a little bit more like foreplay and things like that. This is the time that you are going to allow that to happen. But then when you get into the ovulatory phase, you're not going to need a lot of foreplay. Your body is like hormonally just ready to make a baby. And so this is the time for those fun quickies. Like, send a text to your husband for a lunch break and get it on. Like this is the time of the month that you are going to be doing that. The second half of our month is our luteal and then into our menstrual phase. During that luteal phase, you're going to be like starting to have those sex hormones start to, go down again. And so you're going to like at the beginning of that, luteal phase, you still are going to feel raring to go. And you're going to just want to have like, like you could have a little foreplay, but it's not going to take as much as it does like in the follicular phase. But as you start getting through that luteal phase, you are going to need a little more time. This is a time maybe where you would want to introduce like a vibrator or something else that can help to stimulate and to help you along. And that's totally fine. Some women also, we'll talk about menstrual sex. Like this is something that happens. Some people just get disgusted by even the thought of having sex on their period, but other women and their partners think that this is a great time to have sex. And if you feel up to it, this is like up to you. This is when you get to decide that this is what you're wanting or not.
Like if you feel comfortable with it.
Yeah. And it actually, there's some benefits.
Decreases cramps.
That's right. It actually can help relieve a lot of the cramping and other like PMS symptoms that we deal with during that time of the month. So sex all month long, it can change and your approach to it should change too. So cycle phasing your sex life.
I love that Cody talks a lot about this, in many different topics with Mixhers, but embracing nutrition, like for sex, embracing those healthy fats, and then like patching up the micronutrient deficiencies. Because if your body's just not functioning well, then that is a contributing factor as well. And so what you're putting in your body is the way we perform, the way we're fueled, the way we show up. So pay attention to that. But the tips on healthy fats is great.
Yeah, I love it. Can't even add more to it other than just if you're wondering why fats are important is that we need healthy fats in order to produce healthy levels of hormones. So there you go. And we know that that nutrient deficiency is the number one root cause of hormone imbalance, and hormone imbalance is what leads to low libido. So,
love it.
Yep.
I love that Cody brought this up. Make pleasure part of your day, even outside of your sex life, in non-sexual ways. So, tell me what that means to you.
Yeah. So, we are meant to just enjoy life. Like there's so many pleasurable things. So for me, I wake up in the morning, I find pleasure in my warm drink, whatever it is. It changes every day. Sometimes it's a dandy blend. Sometimes it's a heated up Hertime. Sometimes it's a tea or whatever. Pleasure. I love that. Getting outside and being in nature and just enjoying the feel of the sun, just all these things are ways that we feel pleasure. Laughing, your head, like just cracking up with your best friend or cracking up with your partner and having a good laugh. Pleasurable, right? Food, pleasurable. Just there's so many ways that we can experience pleasure through all of our senses. It's just try to activate all of those pleasure points with using all of your senses and just notice how when you become more like making this more of a priority and becoming more used to having that in your life, then it allows it to trickle into the other areas. And specifically what we're talking about too is in our sex life. So,
and the last tip we have is to try Herlove.
Yeah.
We have tons and tons of women who have really felt the benefits of Herlove. It is not something where you use it once and you feel the benefits. Well, that is actually what women do experience as well, but it's a daily product. It can help build with time, and you'll recognize that you're more in the mood for sex. There's a lot of maca root in it, which is known to help increase libido. And so it's an additional product that we have at Mixhers that can really help women as they want to improve their sex lives.
Yeah, it was designed for you. It was designed for you. And we love telling this story because we think it's hilarious. But when we had first started at Mixhers, we had a few of our like top products that you girls love. But we kept hearing from you, is there anything you can do to help to strengthen libido? And we thought at the time, Hertime is probably the best bet because it helps to balance hormones and that's a huge part of it. But we thought we can do more than this. And so we came up with this product and we pitched it to a bunch of men and they just told us like flat out, this won't sell. Like women don't like sex. They don't care about sex. And Jess and I were like, are you kidding?
Don't?
Yeah. And I think we were like, I think it sounds like a personal problem, right? Because
I will never forget that meeting. Oh my gosh.
Because I'm like, who are you to tell us that we don't like,
care about sex?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, so we kept pushing for it and we wanted to get it out there on the market. We wanted to provide a product that can help you to feel like supported. So whether it's just having that like sex drive, but also to be able to enjoy the act of sex. So increase your sensitivity and increase your endurance And it helps to reduce stress. It's like, that's a huge part of what Herlove is it helps to reduce stress so that you can feel in the mood, so that you can actually be in the moment, and so that you can actually love those moments with your partner. And we have Herlove, by the way, is our second top seller. So tell me whether you think women are wanting this or not. Like, come on. You girls asked for it. We wanted to provide it for you. And I'm so glad that we have this, because there's not really other products out there on the market that help support this. And I love now hearing from men too, not just women, but how much they love and appreciate that we have this out on the market, because it's something that was needed and it just wasn't there. And now it is. So try Herlove.
Well, thanks for this episode. I loved it. Hopefully you take something away from this and found it helpful too. We love that you were here.
Yes. Love it.